All right, welcome everybody to the Whittier Regional School Committee meeting for May. I would like you all to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, we have a lot of people here. Does anybody wish to address us in the public comment section? Everybody's here for something else. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to move the minutes of the annual organizational meeting on April 8th. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
I abstain.
2 abstentions, okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to approve the minutes of April 10th, public hearing on fiscal year 20 budget. Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, who's abstaining beside Dick? Okay, all right, you got them? Tony and Joanne?
And me. I wasn't here.
And you too?
Yeah, I
4 of
wasn't
them. Wow. Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes, Mr.
I'd
Tucker.
like to move the approval of April 10th minutes of the regular school committee meeting. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
4, 3 abstentions? 1, 2, 3.
yeah,
You two?
Yep.
Oh, 4.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Tucker.
I move the approval of April 10 executive session meeting minutes.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, or abstentions? 1, 2, 3, 4 abstentions, same 4. Mr. Tucker?
Not the treasurer.
Any discussion on the treasurer's report? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Did you abstain on that, Dick?
Yes.
Okay. On the treasurer's report?
I'm sorry, not on the treasury report. I mean,
Okay, so we unanimous then on, yeah, great. Old business, do we have the, yeah,
This is just the,
okay, yeah. So you want me to, yeah. Lisa's gonna pass out the results of, how many did we get, Lisa?
10.
We got 10, that's pretty good. The results of the 10 evaluations, self-evaluations that we got, if you want to look them over really quickly and see if you have any questions or discussions on these.
Madam Chair,
Thank you.
Yes,
would you
Lisa?
mind going over what each 1 through 4 was
I'm sorry, go over what?
on the graph, like
Yeah.
what 1 means on the bar graph?
1 was the highest,
Right.
and 2 was the next level. I can't, how were they labeled, Lisa? Agree, disagree, strongly agree, agree, disagree, and not
Unknown.
applicable. Yeah, unknown or
The
something.
last one was
So 1 and 2 would be,
Number 4.
1 would be strongly agree, and
Okay.
2
was
is,
disagree, and 4 was
Yeah.
like unknown
I-
or not known or something like that.
okay. So we have a
wait a
lot
minute,
of
I can try
strongly agrees and agrees, and
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Tucker.
I move to accept the committee's policies, the school committee self-evaluation in for the record.
Paul and Tony. Do you need, anybody need a few more minutes to look them over before? Are you clear on that, Lisa, on what?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I couldn't remember exactly how they were labeled.
I couldn't either, that's why I asked.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. We have a
For
vote.
discussion.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, I'd like to discuss the motion on the floor.
Okay, you do it.
For new members receiving introductory training and orientation when they join the committee, there seem to be a few people who aren't sure about that or don't know if that happens. Is there a way that, I mean, I believe everyone's supposed to take some kind of a MCAS training at one point or another. So I just wondered if the superintendent follows up on that,
Well,
or if once you take it once and with one school committee, does it carry over and to the next?
Well, we advertise when the MASC trainings are, it's charting the course, and that's usually held down at the Cape in Hyannis in that fall conference, but there's other opportunities to take that, so I guess I would have to, if the members aren't sure and are unaware, that they come and talk to me, and I'll make sure to point them in the right direction.
Yeah, overall, I think it's a great, those are all good, positive numbers. Thank you.
so if I could, those of you who did say that you disagreed that they didn't do it, or you don't know if they did it, if you would want to speak with Maureen about it, and maybe it's yourself that hasn't done it, or, so get set up and make sure you take the training. It's only a benefit to you. It's a wonderful thing. Helps you understand it a little more. Any other discussion on this? Hearing none, can we vote? Do we accept the self-evaluation report?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. We're just voting. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Any opposed or abstentions on this? Okay. Thank you to the 10 of you who turned it in. I appreciate it.
Skills.
All right. Now, I believe we're going to have a presentation by Skills USA Group.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent Lynch, rest of the school committee members. Once again, I have the honor of introducing the Skills USA advisors first, and then all these great medalists. I'm going to call up Jane Moskovitz, who's the lead advisor, Bruce Boisel, advisor, and Linda Sano. Come on up, Linda Sano. And Jane will talk about these great students that we have. Congratulations, guys.
Sing out their names.
Wow. It's amazing. What a great group.
Bring them on in. Come on in, guys. Come on in from the back.
Okay.
When I say then, is this on? When I say their name, they can raise their hand because they're not in order of medals. We, as a Skills USA chapter, we attended the state conference April 25th, 26th, and 27th. 94 students competed, and we returned home victorious with 15 gold medals, 4 silver, 6 bronze, a re-elected state officer, and a newly elected national voting delegate. So I'm just going to call their names, and they can raise their hands, and then we have 2 short presentations for you guys to enjoy. Chapter display, which is, I'll try and go quickly. It's actually a display where students work on creating something that represents the school in as many shops as possible. Their display had gears and robotics and things lit up and spun around. That was Josh Roberts. They won a gold medal. Caitlin Cook and Nick Murin. Then we had Career Pathway Showcase. We had 3 teams that medaled in Career Pathway Showcase, and that's an event that students, a team of 3 students, it's usually over the course of a year, they do a project in their particular cluster or career path, and they have to go before a panel of judges and demonstrate skills in knowledge attained, evidence of technical skill, presentation skills. They have to demonstrate that they have integrated business and industry, have had a community impact, and also for the overall effect. Our first team was Rena Tibercio, Sadar Tuncook, and Zachary DePaulo. They represented the Arts and Communication Cluster. Then we had Haley El-Sarabi, Josmel Ramos, and Megan Jegaro represented Business Management Technology. And lastly, we had the Health Services Cluster was represented by Alessandra Thompson, Victoria Pava, and Larissa Havey. Those 12 students came back with a gold medal.
Wow.
You know, team medals, but each got their own. And then we had a team of 2 students who won a gold medal for Urban Search and Rescue, which is a robotics contest where they have to work as a team to build a robot and make it go through a series of maneuvers that kind of mimic what you'd think of if they were like working for the police and doing a bomb squad kind of a situation. That was Dylan Grandmason and Nolan Turry. Then we had a single student gold medalist from machine technology, CNC technician, Brian Richards. We had a silver medalist in Jillian Martin for commercial baking. Sam Claflin is not here, but he won a silver medal in HVAC. We had a team of 2 students who won a silver medal for Community Action Project, and that was Sharon Britton and Victoria Miller, and they presented on an anti-bullying campaign that was really, really awesome. We had we had a bronze medal for Career Pathway Showcase Human Services, and that was a team of Sydney Stewart, Autumn Malloy, and Sierra Barry. And lastly, we had a bronze medal for 3 students who presented for community service, which is really a really tough contest to be in. And that was a team of Ashley Green, who is not here, Mackenzie Collins, who isn't here, but Melissa Cepeda is here. And then we have Lawrence Fitzgerald, who is our re-elected state officer. And then we have our newly elected, really excited national voting delegate, Ryan Link, who, yes, so a national voting delegate is a student who probably has a future political career. So he aspires to be our first national state officer because he'll have time to do that. So we're pinning our hopes on him. I'm going to call up the 2 Career Pathway Showcase teams just to do an abbreviated presentation. So everyone else that's not on the DVC or the Health Services Career Pathways can sit down. So I just keep them up here. And just so you know, they don't have their props, they don't have their trifold, they don't have their video, they're really nervous. And basically, I explained to them that they just need to explain to you. They'll do their presentation, but there might be a few hiccups. So we're gonna start with the Health Services students, and that's a team of Allie Thompson, Larissa Havey, and Victoria Pava. And I'll let them. You can ask them questions after if you don't understand what it's about. You want to?
Come closer.
Just like you were on stage. When they're on stage, they're really close with the judges. So.
Okay, well, good evening. When I say the phrase patient zero, what do you think of? Do you think of a Stephen King novel, the latest horror movie in theaters, maybe a dystopian world? But in fact, It was the beginning of a pandemic. In 1901, a woman came down with symptoms of auditory hallucination, psychosocial impairment, and memory loss. Unbeknownst to the world, she became the very first victim of Alzheimer's disease. And in fact, this disease hangs over the lives of millions every single day. But we believe with awareness, education, and prevention, we can create a new world. One where there's a cure and one where there's hope. Last year, we implemented a program called Music and Memory into a local nursing home that improves cognitive function, motor skills, and decreases the use of antipsychotics through personalized playlists. We took everything that we learned and everything that we saw, and we created our very own booklet called Remembering My Melody. We successfully implemented this into a local nursing home called Port Rehab. And luckily, all of the families, all of the residents, and especially the staff successfully enjoyed this program. But we wanted to do more because this was sad, and quite honestly, we need to fight this disease.
So as we were talking about our jobs and our futures in healthcare, we really began to ask ourselves, why does this happen? Is there something we can do? And if there is, what is it? We started to ask ourselves this question. And in doing so, we decided to host a fundraiser here at Whittier in our cafeteria. We really kind of got nervous because we were...
They can hold it, but I can't get them.
No, we're just going to hand you a mic.
Okay, is that okay? Is it on? I can't tell. All right, so we came up with the idea to have a benefit at our own school to raise money for Alzheimer's research because somebody really needs to stumble upon that clue that's going to lead to treatment and potentially a cure. So as we started to think of different ideas of how we could do this, we started to realize that this was just a bit too much work for 3 people to plan and organize. So in speaking with our instructor, Jane Muscovich, we came up with the idea to talk to 2 other shop groups. We talked to the culinary kids and the marketing kids. Culinary was charged with preparing an Alzheimer's preventative diet that we would serve at the event, and marketing was going to help us create tickets and help us promote this event. So then we would be in charge of providing the theme, which is awareness, education, and prevention, and then we would host the event and find a guest speaker. So after contacting several different areas in Boston, we actually only received 1 phone call back, and this was from Mass General's Research Center for Alzheimer's. We worked with Lenore Jackson Pope. She came to our event and spoke beautifully. We learned a lot, and we had several phone conversations with her discussing our plan, and the only thing left to do was take all of our information that we've gathered and translate this into a proposal for the school administration team. And we are just very fortunate to have such an enthusiastic, supportive team behind us because they enthusiastically supported us and let us go through with our event. This partnership has provided us with a new professional connection and the confidence to reach out to experts. Our fundraiser took place on Sunday, March 31st in the afternoon in our school cafeteria. The outcome was astounding. The afternoon consisted of culinary prepared food, and we also enjoyed tables filled with raffle baskets, a silent auction that consisted of items contributed by our carpentry shop, such as a large purple Martin house, bird baths, and even Red Sox tickets. Local industry partners and co-op employers volunteered their time to host a resource fair out in the lobby. And our guest speaker spoke about the complexities of Alzheimer's, including the normal aging process and the signs of Alzheimer's. And she also spoke of how many people are affected. The audience was visibly moved by her presentation. At the conclusion of the event, we were very overwhelmed to learn that our efforts raised over just $7,000. All of this money is going toward Mass General's Research Center for Alzheimer's, and we really look forward to our check presentation that will take place this month, the 22nd. Despite our success, we need to remember that this is just one small victory, and there are many battles yet to come.
Hi. Catch it early. Those are watchwords in the battle against a host of illnesses, from heart disease to cancer to type 2 diabetes. Early detection gives physicians a chance to minimize damage, to insert a stent and keep blood flowing to the heart, to remove a tumor before one becomes many, to urge crucial lifestyle changes, lose weight, eat better, exercise. Our event brought together a community of people who felt the urgency to end the epidemic that's been haunting our nation for over 100 years. We can't ignore the pain that these people are going through, nor the suffering that these people are going through, simply because the majority impacted happen to be old. We walked into the nursing home, and all of us could feel the sorrow that those families must have felt. We saw people who didn't know their own names, their children's names, nor the memories that they built over the years. We saw a future that could be anyone's, even in this room, even me. And I remember placing the headphones on one person's head, and her smile warmed my heart. It's as if I could see her young again. And on one particular visit with a resident, well, I was driven to tears. She described the music as being precious. Upon hearing it, she recounted her life back at home, where her mother and father used to bicker late at night in the kitchen. And she ended it all with saying, "You brought back my history. I can't wait to share this with my mom." And then I stopped, and I thought to myself, what if this never had to happen? That's what we all wondered, and that became our motivation. Although daunting at times, we learned so much. We covered 95% of the health assisting strands, 100% of strands 4 and 5, and all 17 essential elements of the Skills USA framework. And though initially sad and emotionally challenging to cope with at times, we realized that with awareness, education, and prevention, we couldn't only grow as healthcare workers, but as advocates for a cure. Thank you. Any questions?
What kind of music did you play? Swing or?
Sorry, I don't.
Great job.
So it's really depending on what they used to listen to. Yeah, so we had a lot of Neil Diamond.
50s and 60s.
A lot of Everett Brothers, some jazz boys.
We're all gonna have it someday.
Nice presentation.
Thank you.
It is.
Based on their age.
Now he's 85, 86, 85.
She got it in her early 80s too.
Okay, that's what I want. Oh, okay, I didn't get to that part. Because my father has Alzheimer's, and I keep trying to use music, but unfortunately, my mother keeps picking out Irish music, which makes them cry. So, because that's his parents, so I'm trying to find music. So I tried 50s music. I'm trying
Doris Day.
Thank you.
Era. That
You know,
whole
so I'm
era.
searching for music that might be appropriate.
Top 4 40s and Thank you so much.
Keep it, but you better keep it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for answering questions.
Thank you. Awesome. Awesome.
The next team is from Design and Visual Communications, and they did a really great presentation on the interactive yearbook. Just so you know, they normally do not have notes. There's no notes. They have to do it without notes, but they all like it just in case. So there you go.
Good evening. What's your pathway? What happened to your dreams of becoming an artist, an architect, a designer? Our school provides us pathways to find our future careers. We chose to represent that in our first ever animated yearbook. With the help of every individual in our shop working together, digitally and traditionally animated frames were made. Using Adobe Cloud applications such as Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and Premiere, our yearbook was created. Linking your phone to the yearbook was done by the app HP Reveal. The fact that anyone can access the yearbook's pages by way of their phone connects the community in a way no yearbook has ever done before.
Our animated yearbook was inspired by the book Life Animated by Ron Suskind. His son, Owen Suskind, suffered from severe autism, and the only pathway he had to communicate and bond with his family was through Disney movies. So we just decided to choose this concept as our 2018 yearbook theme because we realized that just like Owen, each student at our technical school has to find their own pathway in their own shop. That might be cosmetology, carpentry, or even design and visual communications. Each shop serves as a personalized pathway for each student. This concept also helped us learn 96% out of 112 of our state competencies, therefore making us more employable for the future. Now, to gather all the information we needed, all the animation frames, we had help from every single grade, including incoming freshmen and even teachers, making this a very social emotional learning lesson for everyone. This 136-page yearbook connected the printed pages to 91 associated videos that were stored in the cloud. You could watch these videos on your phone, tablet, or iPad in an app called HP Reveal. We started this yearbook like any other yearbook, editing layouts, taking pictures of sports, clubs, shops, and even senior pictures for those in need. The only difference this year was that we had to get video to edit and to animate. For our vision of the augmented reality yearbook to work, we gathered little videos that we then cut into clips. Those clips we cut into frames, and those frames we used to animate, either digitally or hand-drawn and stylized. We also put little play icons around the yearbook, indicating to readers that the certain picture that had the play icon had a video behind it. So once you hovered your phone over the yearbook, it would pop up the video. Once we were done, we realized that this took about 6,000 hours. We gathered endless content and thousands of animation frames. And once the students realized that videos and animations were unfolding before their eyes, high school was truly animated.
The message of our project to connect, interact, and communicate through chosen pathways is reflected over and over throughout history in the field of design and visual communications. Our field communicates to large audiences, spreading information to elicit an emotional response. This was the goal of our animated yearbook, which demonstrates countless skills of our industry: photography, graphic design, video, illustration, layout. We also utilized new tools and new things we learned this year, like animation. We each took on the roles and responsibilities of a creative team, working together on design considerations and planning and scheduling. We thought up solutions to problems and took critiques from each other before exporting our files to the printing company using proper formats. Daily, we set up our studio to take senior photos, avoiding tripping hazards with our cords and safety hazards with our lights and backdrops. We honed our photography skills and learned how to adapt our cameras for different settings when taking photos of shops, sports, clubs, academics, and daily senior life around the school. We utilized our school's social emotional learning concept and took breaks when using computers to rest our eyes and communicate with fellow students about the project. We took inspiration but avoided copyright infringement when designing the layouts and drawings for this theme. We chose fonts that fit this theme, and this process taught us about type manipulation, the history of type, and that whole area. In order to make our yearbook stand out, we used the idea of animated videos, which is something that usually is not in a yearbook. This process taught us how to film and edit video, as well as preparing graphics for animation. We demonstrated the elements and principles of design and visual hierarchy in our hand-drawn and digitally rendered animated frames. The end product was incredible. Throughout this process, our students demonstrated integrity and work ethic, and we developed our professional skills in an effort to support our community and give back.
Senior photos can cost up to $300, so we provide them free to our students for those who wouldn't be able to afford them. This takes a weight off their shoulders, and that money can then be refocused towards tuition costs or new occupational tools. The yearbook itself, it's free. At most public schools, it tends to be a more expensive thing they provide, so we take into consideration the students who deserve to be a part of the memories we all take away from high school. The advertisements at the end of our yearbook help out our local businesses by providing them with ad revenue. It also helps out our graduating seniors by providing them with new job opportunities after they leave high school. In the 2018 Whittier Animated Yearbook, blood, sweat, and tears were poured into its pages. Teachers and parents alike grew sentimental as they viewed the colorful, skillfully drawn animations. Peers reminisced over the memories they made for the past 4 years. Either way, they're going to graduate and go to their four-year college or their new occupational job. Either way, Whittier provided them that pathway to find their future career. And we chose to represent that in our first ever animated yearbook, all inspired by Ron Suskind and his son finding his own pathway through animation. Any questions?
Questions? Question.
We have a couple of questions. Yes.
First of all, how many of you were involved in your team? Was
In
it-
our team, every single one of us was involved in making the
There was the 3 of you for the program for Skills USA. In putting the yearbook together, how many did you have?
Our entire shop. I don't know the numbers, but.
Probably around 25,
But also the freshmen who helped
as
with
well as other students in other
Yeah.
shops and teachers.
We just never counted.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Are you the first to actually have a digital yearbook?
In the school, yes.
There-
Country?
There are other digital yearbooks with videos, but we're one of the first, the only one we could find that used animations in our yearbook and not just live footage.
Have they discussed with you copywriting your current invention?
It's not our invention personally, but we avoided copyright infringement, but it's something, we could copyright it, but I don't think we need to go to the length to do so.
I don't know. I don't know, maybe. You're onto something here.
Yes. That could be financially the path to your new career.
Next up, Shark Tank.
Wow. Great job.
Good job.
Good job, thank you guys. Thank you. Okay, well,
That was it.
All caught up in that, get where we are here.
part of my report, I'll discuss the field trip to Skills USA in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, we already know the question. Yep. So we already know the question from left field.
Yeah. I will also be attending conference in Louisville,
nice.
Kentucky. So
That's wonderful.
the kids worked really hard, and Miss Moskovich and the entire advisors, they worked really hard to really make sure that Whittier's on the map regarding Skills USA. It's such a wonderful opportunity for our kids. If anyone's ever been to any of their events, it's amazing, and you see what happens with our kids. I mean, they're adults, and they did a wonderful job, and that's just the tip of the iceberg about what we've been seeing. So
It's incredible. Okay, so, what? Yes, Charlie.
I'll say one thing.
I never seen such young kids articulate so well. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they were great. They were great. This was a practice session for them. You know, they have to get used to different types of crowds, and they asked, you know, how they could present. And I said, what about the school committee? I thought you should see what, you know, our
I'm
kids are doing.
so glad they did. That's wonderful. Any other questions before we move on?
I have one more.
What?
Average attendance from a school. 27 is a lot of kids. What's the average usually? 12, 14?
You know, there were some schools that had many more.
Really?
Yeah, and there were some schools that had many less. So, you know, I would say we're probably about average. I want to have many more. I'm a little too competitive for my own good.
Well, we put that extra money in, right?
All right, any more questions on this? No? Okay, we're going to do our audit report now. Is that where you want to go with this? Yeah? Now top that last number.
I don't know, they set the bar pretty high, but I'm gonna do my best here.
Gotcha.
I don't think my topic is quite as interesting as theirs, but hopefully it is. Just like to start off by thanking the superintendent, business manager, the treasurer, the comptroller, and the rest of the finance team for all the cooperation and assistance that we received during the course of the audit. There's a lot of information that we request as part of the audit, and it puts an extra burden on the staff. And they put together a great audit package for us and answered all of our questions in a very timely, professional manner, and that was very much appreciated. From a timing standpoint, we were out in early June doing our preliminary work. That time we're testing transactions, and we're looking at supporting documentation for transactions. We're testing the grants for compliance. We're auditing the budget. We're doing as much as we can to try to get a head start on our year-end work. The year-end work was completed in October, and at that time we're wrapping up any loose ends that we might have had from our preliminary work, completing all of our year-end audit procedures, and we're compiling the financial statements. The results of the audit were that we were able to issue an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That's a clean opinion. It means that the financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. It's the best you can get. All reporting deadlines were met. The information that was provided to us was accurate. We didn't have to propose any adjustments to the district's accounting records. The balances were accurate. No internal control deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal control were noted, which is very important. Internal controls were operating and designed well. And I'd like to go over some financial highlights. For the general fund, your fund balance totaled $1.4 million. $373,000 of that was encumbered at the end of the year for bills that were going to be paid in the next fiscal year. And $752,000 was committed. That relates to your capital stabilization fund. That left you with $844,000 of unassigned fund balance, and that is almost the exact same number that you had at the end of last year. So your results of operations were very consistent with what they were in the prior year. And that balance, $844,000, also represents the starting point for your E&D calculation. Your E&D was certified at $839,000 at the end of the year, and that was about $4,000 less than the prior year. So again, very consistent. And it was also $415,000 below the 5% DOR limit, so no issues there. From an operating standpoint, the general fund balance increased by $173,000. That was due to favorable budgetary results. Your revenues were $79,000 over budget, mainly due to state aid and investment income. And you had unspent appropriations totaling about $270,000. And then those increases were offset by a $350,000 transfer to the Capital Stabilization Fund, and that was funded from your E&D. Your school choice fund ended the year with a balance of $757,000. That money is available for expenditure by the school committee without further appropriation, and it can be used to enhance the quality of educational programs throughout the district. Your regional transportation fund ended the year with $558,000 in it. That money can be used to fund your subsequent year's budget, or you can also use it to fund your current year budget. But in any event, it can only carry forward for 1 year, and any unused money after 1 year has to revert back to E&D. For significant audit transactions, cash we always consider to be a significant transaction, and from our standpoint, we consider that to be a high-risk audit area. So we look very closely at the cash reconciliations. The reconciliations are probably the most important internal control over cash. We found that cash is being reconciled on a monthly basis, and we found all the reconciliations to be complete and accurate. So you have good, strong reconciliation procedures over your cash and good internal controls over your cash. Other significant transactions, other post-employment benefits, that's retiree health insurance. There was a new standard that was implemented in 2018, so if you compare last year's financial statements to this year's financial statements, you'd notice that there's some additional footnote disclosure in there and some additional schedules in the back called required supplementary information that just provide more information related to the liability and the contributions. The OPEB liability at the end of the year totaled $33.8 million. And something that was very positive was the district established an OPEB trust fund in 2018 and began funding it. And so that is great to see, and from what I understand, there's a plan to continue funding that going forward. So I think that that's a really positive sign for the district that they're starting to address that liability and starting to fund it. As you establish like a trend and you're putting money in there, you can talk to your actuary about it, but at some point that can help with your discount rate. And as your discount rate goes up, that will help to bring down your liability. And so the discount rate is based on what you have set aside for funds in your trust fund and what your plan is to continue funding in the future. But your actuary can talk to you about that and let you know what threshold you need to meet before that will start to affect your discount rate. And that will have a change. There's something in the footnotes called the sensitivity analysis, and that will tell you what your liability is using the current discount rate, what your liability would be using a discount rate that's 1% lower and 1% higher. So you can see how much of a big impact that would have on the liability. And so it is a big factor in it. So that was really great to see. Your net pension liability was $6.4 million. That was an increase of about $356,000 from the prior year. You're part of the behavioral retirement system for your pension. They're 53% funded, and that funding level went up by 3%, so that was a good sign for the retirement system overall. And those are mainly the things that I wanted to highlight in the financial statements. From there, I was going to go over the report on federal awards, if that's all right. Yeah.
What exactly do you mean by a discount rate? I'm not sure what that.
So they use a discount rate to discount the liability. And that discount rate, if it's higher, then your liability is going to be lower. And if it's lower, then your liability is going to be higher. Right now, because you're just starting to fund this and you're funding a small amount, like they determine what you would have to fund to use the long-term expected rate of return. So they can use, depending on, you have to have your assets invested in something that's going to earn a certain rate of return on it. And so depending on how you have your assets invested and how much you're funding your trust fund, you can use what's called a blended discount rate. So when you're not funding, you have to use the AA municipal bond rate, and that's at about 3.5%. And so as you start funding, you can use a higher discount rate. And the actuary has to look at what you have for assets, what your plan is to fund in the future, and then they do a projection of your assets in the trust and what you're going to be paying out for future benefits, and then they can, based on where those things line up, they can use like a blending anywhere from that municipal bond rate all the way up to the long-term expected rate of return on your assets, depending on what you have them invested in. And so that can significantly, that discount rate is then used to discount the OPEB liability, and it will, bring it down to a lower amount than it would be using a lower rate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right.
Any other questions on the financial statements?
And just to follow up on your question, is that referred to on page 36 where it goes discount rate 7.25%?
Which one,
That's
which one
the
is he
pension
in?
rate.
That's the pension rate.
Yeah, the OPEB rate is
What page, Paul?
3.87%.
All right, guess I'm looking at pension.
Page 40, you can see that sensitivity analysis that I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the middle of the page, you can see that
OPEB.
the net OPEB liability with the 3.87% discount rate, which is the rate you currently qualify to use, you've got a $38.8 million liability. If that rate was 2.8, if it was 1 percentage lower, 2.87%, that liability would go up to $45 million. And if it was 1 percentage point higher, the liability would come down to $33 million. So it's about a $5 million drop by changing that discount rate.
Okay.
I should have flipped to that page anyway, because I think that helps to answer your question.
Yep, it's right there. Thank
Yeah.
you. All right, Dick had a question?
Yeah, you said school choice had you said school choice had $733,000. I believe this is the last year on school choice. Is that money that's been accumulated
Yes.
over the year?
Yep.
And where does it go now?
It stays there until you use it, as far as I know. I'm not aware of any other.
But we can use it for
Yeah.
other things.
Yes, yep.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Any other questions? Charlie?
Just got one. As stated in your financial segment, it says that the general fund reported an increase as revenues and expenditures came in favorable to the budget. Is it safe to say that because we're now at 100% in district, tuition, which are usually higher than choice funds, and the fact that the classes are increasing, that we really, that's maybe why the revenue was more than the budget, and that should continue.
I'm not sure that I can say that for certain. I'd have to probably look a little bit further into that to be able to give you an answer on that, but I can look into it and get back to you, like I could get back to Kara.
If that's a good trend,
Yeah.
that's a good trend.
I'm not sure that I can say that with certainty right now. That, yeah.
Anything else? No? Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes?
Move to accept the audit report.
He has more to.
He's got to go for part 3.
Well, for discussion purposes. All right.
I'll make it quick. There's another report that should be in your packet, the report on federal awards.
Yeah.
So that's a report that's required for entities that expend more than $750,000 of federal funds in a fiscal year. The district spent $1.2 million, so you're qualified to have this done. And of the expenditures, $310,000 was spent on school and the school lunch and breakfast program. $931,000 was on education grants, and our testing focused on the special education program. This was a clean report. As I said, there were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal control related to the federal awards. There were no findings, no question costs. That was a clean report, best results you can get on that. So there's really not a whole lot more to say about that. The results are excellent. Yep.
Last year, I believe, we had a couple issues with some petty cash problems. Did that all get resolved?
Hey, cash, as part of the audit?
Remember we were talking about that last year? Yeah, the petty cash at the store. Did that all get resolved?
The gift cards?
What it was?
Oh, yeah, yes, they put, they're all pre-numbered now and everything, so that was taken care of. Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize that's what you meant.
Thank you.
Yep. And so then that takes us to the management letter, which is the third report. We have a new comment in this year related to cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is something that is affecting everybody in our personal lives, in our business lives. It's affecting local governments. It's becoming more and more of a problem. We're seeing things in the local government community like ransomware, where They actually lock down your computer systems, and they basically require you to make a payment to them to unlock your systems, and until they do, you can't process payroll, you can't pay bills, you can't do anything. Some of the other things that we're seeing is something called payroll hijacking, where they've actually found a way to send an email from what looks like a employee account to the payroll department and asking them to change the direct deposit account that their paycheck is going into. And because it looks like it's coming from a district account or a known account, the payroll department is doing it. And so you obviously want to have controls in place to prevent these things from happening.
It's Steve Jobs.
And so our recommendation here, well, even before I get into that, the district has done something about it already. They have got a cyber liability insurance policy, which is great because that helps protect the district against any costs that might be associated with any of these breaches in security. And we're really happy to see that that's been done. But in addition to that, we're recommending that a risk assessment be completed to identify different risk areas where you do have risk of cybersecurity, whether it's something coming in like a malware coming in through an email, someone clicking on a link, or there's just I'm not an IT specialist, and this is not my area of expertise, but there are a lot of different vulnerabilities, and it makes sense to have somebody come in, whether you do it internally or have someone else come in from the outside. We're seeing a lot of our clients are going to outside vendors for these services, but to come in and do a risk assessment, identify the different risk areas, and then develop policies and procedures to try to prevent any types of breaches in the future. So that's the new comment that we had in there. There's a prior year comment related to student activities, which there was a recommendation related to old class accounts and getting those off the school district's books in accordance with the school committee policy. So after 2 years, and my understanding is that there's only one left now that, recently several of them have been removed from the books and they've been put into like a separate class account that's in the custody of the students, not under the school district's 04 number. So the school district has no more liability associated with those. And then the other part of it was just to, once there's an updated student activity policy and procedure manual, and when that's complete, for that to be adopted by the school committee. And the last one relates to documentation of internal controls for federal grants. There's been a lot of work that's been done on that. That's an important document related to compliance with the uniform guidance, which is the guidance that is related to the federal awards that we were just talking about. And there's certain things that are required to be in writing. A lot of that has been done now, and I think that it's just kind of in the final stages of being completed. So that's really great to see that that's almost done as well. And so that was it for the management letter.
Okay. I have one comment that in reading through this, it's interesting how the phraseology is about doing a good job and being at the top and where we should be, because it almost doesn't sound like that when you read it. It's just modified this and that, and I thought, okay, is this a good thing or not? But I realized it was, but it's just a funny way to phrase things, I thought. So
I should have started off by saying that this document is critical in nature and it doesn't highlight the things that you do well. Which is usually how I start talking about that document.
Would be good.
Because, yeah, I can see how you could have that.
Yeah.
But honestly, when I'm looking at this management letter, there's a few comments in there. 2 of them are almost completely resolved. One is a brand new thing, and it's more of like an informational thing to say, this is something to think about that will help to protect you, but it's not that you're doing anything wrong. And we did have in past years there were comments related to improving internal controls.
Yeah.
And all of those have been addressed.
Yeah.
And we keep looking at those controls, and those controls are still in place. And so those things aren't reoccurring, which is great. And so really what we're having is a lot of more of like things to like enhance what you do, the comments that we're coming up with, and not so much that you have a weakness in control that you need to address, which is really good because you have a good system of internal controls in place now.
Well, that was my take on everything, that there weren't any little messages saying you need to do this, you know, we suggest you do this, and I thought, oh, we've done pretty good.
Yep.
Even though they don't come right out and say it, but
No,
we
we
did.
can't.
The other thing I would like to say is, I probably have been told and don't remember, but we've been having you here for several years now, and I don't know your name.
Oh, it's Frank Soretti.
Would you spell your last name, please,
Yes.
Frank?
Serreti.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Unless you just want to be called Sir all the time.
No, I thought that you had my name. I'm sorry.
Oh, all right. Anything else for Mr. Soretti? See, I like to be able to say that. No more questions? Nope. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate
I
having
think we did well.
having the district as a client, and look forward to
Another year.
another year. Yeah.
And we have an amazing group, those three ladies sitting right there, who are taking care of all the money.
Absolutely.
And doing a fantastic job. We're very lucky.
I agree.
We're very lucky. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the rest of her staff.
What?
And the rest of her staff.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to comment too, that I'm very pleased that all that money went back to the class of, you know, I saw, when
Yeah.
I signed the warrants, I thought, why is it, and then now I realized what that was about.
Yeah.
That the money was going back to the class.
Yeah.
So we only have one class?
One left, right?
It's in process.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was great. I mean, it was just about every, yeah, right. And now it's their money, most of it.
Now it
Yay.
really is their money.
Good.
All right.
Good thing.
I remember that being one of the last steps when I did student government, is getting them to do this.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I move that we accept the auditor's letter of June 30, 2018?
Second.
I'm sorry.
Any discussion?
I'm sorry, I missed that. What?
To accept the auditor's report?
Yes.
Yes. Any discussion? I don't know. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, whatever. Okay. Thank you. What?
How long is this contract with this firm?
3 years.
I don't know, I'd
It's
have
through
to ask
3 to 5. I
Karen.
just don't know where we are in the process.
I don't know
We've
either.
had 3. Minimum.
We go out to bid again, so, you know,
Oh.
I'll have to look at the contract.
Yeah. Okay.
No stone unturned.
Mr. McFarland, would you like to give your last report? Oh.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent Lynch, and all other school committee members. DECA competitions have wrapped up for the year, but we are already looking forward to next year. We will meet with all interested members before the end of the school year so they can start thinking about their projects over the summer. We are looking forward to continuing to grow this program. Interact Club is hosting the Wildcat Walk on May 16th after school. All clubs and Springs athletes are invited to join us. Each walker is asked to obtain a pledge of $10 to walk. All proceeds will be donated to the Haverhill Relay for Life, which benefits the American Cancer Society. This is the second year we'll be hosting this event, and we are looking forward to raising money for a great cause. Peer leaders have been very busy. This week we have been entering homerooms to show students how to vote for the student government representatives. On May 16th, peer leaders will be participating in the Wildcat Walk. Towards the end of the month, we will begin training our next group of peer leaders. The Multicultural Club will be hosting the International Do One Thing for Diversity Day on May 21st. The Whittier community will be asked to personally pledge to do one thing in their lives for cultural diversity. There are many simple things we can do on a daily basis. Lastly, at our next meeting, a student will be sharing with us about her family's Ganda heritage. Peer-to-Peer is having a very busy month. They will be working with the Interact Club for the Relay for Life. Chess Club is having an informal, voluntary, in-house tournament this week and the next. It should be very exciting. Last week, they had 14 members. Hopefully, with the tournament, it will draw in some new faces for competitive chess. This was a great year for student government. We are wrapping up the year with the following updates. We are finishing up on the class election process, and we will meet the elected candidates. Newly appointed class officers will be meeting with student council advisors to discuss their role as class representatives. Class officers will develop a student government calendar to plan events for the new academic year. Student government advisors will discuss the possibility of planning an activity that will tie in with the civic responsibility and the local community. Drama Club will be singing the Star Spangled Banner for graduation. There are 7 seniors this year in the club, and then they will all be missed dearly next year. Although there is a big hole for next year, there will definitely be a good bunch of kids for next year to fill in. Boys lacrosse is currently 1-7, about halfway through the season. We are steadily improving with a young, inexperienced group. We are looking forward to the future and watching the growth and improvement of all the young athletes. Boys varsity baseball is at a strong 9-1. The team is looking very well and strong with a lot of players who are starters and will be returners as next year. The team looks forward to keep taking it one game at a time and battling through the last half of the season. Girls varsity softball is having a solid year so far at 7-1. The team is playing very well and are all looking forward to upcoming years with a young team. There are only... Well,
That's really good.
yeah, it is really good. They only have 3 seniors leaving who will be dearly missed. One of those seniors is a pitcher, and she has been starting since her freshman year. Nicole Verrett is coming up on her high school career total of 500 strikeouts, and that's stellar. That's awesome.
Is that a record for us?
I'm not sure, but
We'll have
it's...
to check with Mr. Bradley.
I think it might be. It's
Yeah.
very high up there. Girls lacrosse continues to have strong numbers with 42 student athletes. We have varsity and junior varsity team that are very young and eager to compete. They continue to have fun and improve their skills every game. The boys and girls track and field teams head into their final week of dual meet competitions. Both teams have been putting in the work to put themselves up for the state vocational track and field championships on Monday, May 13th, and the CAC track and field championships on Saturday, May 18th. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Good job. We've appreciated having you here. Can you tell us what you're going to be doing next year?
I plan to work full-time and take night school here. So.
And what?
And what?
In what, in night school?
Oh, what, take it here?
Yeah, what are you taking at night school?
Oh, plumbing and heating.
Really?
Yeah, full-time
Wonderful. Good for you. Thank you. Okay, do we? Oh, well, we have a little something for you, Andrew.
I got it in half.
They wouldn't let me peek.
I just want to say that Andrew's done a great job. He's been a great student athlete for us, and he's been a pleasure to work with, and I'm very excited about what the future holds for him and getting to see him in night school on Wednesday nights. So you should still stop by.
Oh, I will.
You know? Yeah.
You get to take your nameplate with you?
I think Mr. Leganis wants to introduce next year's
I would say.
student.
So good evening once again, and Andrew, thank you very much. You did a great job. I know Mom's in the crowd too, back here, right? So congratulations. Did a great boy, Mom. Nice job. And May 30th, graduation. So I'm here to introduce our next student rep, Catherine McNulty. Come on up. I'm going to give you a little bit of stats on Catherine. You're going to be very amazed at these stats. She's a Haverhill girl. All right, she's electrical in the electrical shop.
Ooh.
She's a co-op. She works at All Pro in Haverhill. She's in the National Honor Society. And here we go. We're getting better. Student athlete, member of the volleyball and wrestling team. I'm going to tell you, you don't want to wrestle this young lady. This is the first ever state champion female in the state of Massachusetts. So there she is. And it gets better. She's also our world-famous mascot, the Wildcat, and Governor Baker's favorite Wildcat and student. Here she is. So, Catherine, welcome aboard. Say hi. That's okay. So we're excited for it. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Nice to meet you, Catherine.
We'll see you at the June meeting.
Will you be at the June meeting?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, she'll be June.
Wonderful.
You want to tell them about the wrestling? What you're doing?
Well, recently I've been going to Harvard Wednesday and Friday nights for wrestling practice. I do a bunch of wrestling off season to be ready for the season upcoming. So right now I'm with adult boys,
right.
Congratulations.
See you next month. Great job.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Okay. What was her last name? McNulty.
More students.
Students.
That's why we do it.
I'm making notes, sorry. Ms. Lynch, could we please have your report? Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, members of the committee. Tonight, for informational purposes, I have hires for you. I have a school nurse, a school adjustment counselor, a carpentry instructor, and a mathematics instructor for next year, and a science tutor for this year. I also have for you the spring MCAS after-school program. I have freshman orientation, which will be held on May 18th. I have for you summer 2019 employability experience. This is programs in our summer for some of our special education students. I have our online academic summer school that will be held here, but the program is actually online. I have Credit for Life advisors. If anyone saw some of our tweets, we had Credit for Life here last week, last Friday. It was amazing. Did you participate? You had co-op?
I'd co-op.
Yeah. Summer 2019 attendance summer school, game clock officials for next year, our SAT prep program for this spring. Budget update. At this time, we have had 5 town meetings and all have approved our budget. Those towns are Groveland, Raleigh, Georgetown, Newbury, and West Newbury. We have the Merrimack Town meeting on May 13th, the Ipswich Town meeting on May 14th, the Amesbury City Council on May 16th, and the Salisbury Town meeting on May 20th, and the Newburyport City Council on May 21st. March retest results are in. We had 6 students take the math retest and 2 passed. MCAS appeals in biology and math were filed for 4 students in biology and 4 students in math. We should have those results by the end of May. The class of 2019 has a 100% pass rate and have completed MCAS requirement. The class of 20 has a 100% pass rate in ELA and 99% have passed both biology and math. We still have
Nice.
6 students that need to pass 1 or 2 MCAS exams or be granted the MCAS appeal in order to fill the MCAS requirement. Currently, Whittier is offering a free MCAS math program. Grade 10 students will be taking the MCAS math exam on May 21st and 22nd. We've gone to online MCAS program, and it's gone seamless, and I really want to thank Ms. Katrina Jensen, our coordinator of data and assessment. It was a lot of work, and Kevin Williams as well, making sure that we had everything that we need to do, and students were able to get right to work. On Thursday, April 11th, I met with the Newburyport Bank officials to discuss how we can work with each other. On Thursday, April 11th, I attended the MAVA Outstanding Vocational Student Banquet at Mechanics Hall in Worcester. I want to congratulate Emily Shaw, a health occupation student, for earning this honor. She is also the class president. On Monday, April 22nd, I attended a Madison Park Study Committee meeting at the department in Malden. This is a working group to try to provide Madison Park assistance in their programs. On Tuesday, April 23rd, I attended the Newbury Town meeting along with Kara Cosmas. On Friday, April 26th, I attended the MAVA Board of Directors meeting and Skills USA opening ceremony. It was a very exciting day with many of our Whittier Tech students competing. On Saturday, April 27th, I attended the Skills USA medal ceremony. I am pleased to announce that Whittier had 15 gold medals. These students will be heading to Louisville, and I'm excited to say I am going too. On Monday, April 29th, Kara Cosmas and I attended the Groveland Town meeting, and I want to thank Amy Poxick, the treasurer, for attending the West Newbury Town meeting, so thank you, Amy. On Tuesday, April 30th, I hosted Mayor Fiorentini from Haverhill, Superintendent Margaret Murata, and Principal Glenn Burns from Haverhill High School. We're looking for ways to collaborate in our advanced manufacturing program. On Tuesday, April 30th, I attended the Kiwanis banquet at DeBarros for the top students in the city of Haverhill. I want to thank Kara Cosmas for organizing this event. And how many years, Kara, have you been organizing this event?
I think over 20.
Yeah. It's a great event. On Thursday, April 30th, I attended the roundtable with Education Chair Senator Jason Lewis in Salisbury. Senator DeSoglio organized this program to discuss education funding, which continues to be a major issue in our state. On Wednesday, May 1st, I attended the MVSA Academic Scholars Luncheon at Lindsay's in Drake. I want to congratulate Tabitha Noyes, the class valedictorian, Lam McAllister, and Emily Shaw, the class salutatorians, for that great honor, and also for Mr. Leganis for attending that event with me. On Friday, May 3rd, I attended the Marvis officer meeting here at Whittier. Cliff Chang and Keith Westrich from the Department of Education also attended and discussed possible changes in vocational education regulations that may be coming forward in the next year or so. On Monday, May 6th, I attended the Georgetown town meeting. On Monday, May 6th, Kara Cosmas and I attended the Rowley town meeting. Good thing they're just down the street from each other. I want to publicly thank everyone that made the Whittier Tech Foundation's Derby Night a success. The foundation was able to earn approximately $12,000 for our students in the mission of the foundation. A great time was had by all, and I'm looking forward to doing it again next year. It was we all had a ball and dressed up, and there's some great pictures, so I should bring those the next time.
I have one question. Do you have the proper paperwork to go on this field trip?
It's coming up. Stealing his thunder.
No, for her. Oh, for her.
I can have my mommy sign it for me. She'd be glad to get rid of me.
I had to do that, Dick.
I'd like to give a quick update on the field project. We've had some issues, and we will have to start construction earlier than expected. There may be the beginnings of construction before graduation. I've been assured that they will do everything they can do to have a nice graduation, but, you know, it wouldn't be graduation without a few things to kind of deal with.
Why is that?
Contractually, they believe that they should have started on April 1st, so, or May 1st. May 1st.
They knew the dates when they bid it, right?
Well, there's all kinds of questions about that, so that's where we're at. So we're trying to work together to come up with a plan that will be good for everyone. We're also discussing a scoreboard. There's been much discussion that if we get the right scoreboard, this is an opportunity to advertise and fundraise. I have another meeting set up with the scoreboard company on Friday at 11. If any school committee member would like to attend, you're more than welcome to attend that meeting.
This Friday at 11?
Yeah. Kara's office. We had a masonry competition. I don't know if any of you saw it when you came in today. There's 2 tents out in the big parking lot.
Yeah.
So it's a mass trowels trade competition. So we had students from, I don't want to miss any, but Monty Tech, Essex Tech, Bay Path, Whittier, Greater Lawrence, and Shawsheen. And I am happy to say, because I'm not too competitive at all, hardscaping team, we won first place with Lauren Powers, Isaiah Hernandez, and Brian Levesque. And then the hardscape team took fourth, and these are younger students with Jonathan Karen, Jordan Gauthier, and Christopher McNulty. And then our brick and block competition, sophomore Lily Fox took first place. So it was very exciting to, hear Whittier announced at that. And, it was really fun. It was the first nice day in a really long time. So the kids were able to really compete and have a good time, and we had a little barbecue for them as well.
Oh, that's nice.
It was very nice. So with that, Skills USA National Conference is June 24th through 29th. We have 18 students attending. So I am looking for approval to send 18 students to Louisville, Kentucky for the Skills USA National Conference.
Any discussion? Dick? We have any discussion on this
Field trip?
field trip?
We have the proper paperwork in line?
I will make sure I have the proper paperwork before they leave.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Or abstentions? None. Okay.
So
Thank
for
you.
June 1st, we need to have a vote on school choice to send to the department. At this point, we do not have any room at the inn. So I'm looking for a vote that, for not to have school choice for this year, except like we did last year for any student that is currently a student that may move out of the district.
Well, we don't participate in school choice for the next school year besides those that are currently in the district.
Excuse me?
I moved exactly what you said.
Okay. What did I say?
Only faster.
I listened to her. She doesn't think so, but I do listen.
Second.
Any further discussion on this? What, school choice, Boyd? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No? Okay, thank you.
And that's all I have for you this evening.
Mr. Leganis, you are up. Yep, Legsy.
Okay, good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent Litch, rest of the school committee members. I have in front of you the proposed 2019-2020 calendar, if you can believe it. Yep, and just a few highlights. Our new teachers, it's going to come quick. Our new teachers are showing up August 20th to the 21st. All teachers will be back that August 26th. And then all students we will report that 28th. If there's any questions.
Move approval of the school calendar.
Second.
Discussion? Did we start before Labor Day last year?
Yes.
As well? Yeah. I couldn't remember. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No? Okay, thank you.
Great. I also have in front of you our proposed 2019-2020 handbook. This year, we didn't have very many changes. Last year, we had a lot of changes, so that was pretty good. Just a few highlights again. Some of the name changes. Obviously, Adam is new to us as the assistant principal, and I believe one school committee member. The lunch payments on school bucks, which was on page 6. And if you notice, the book looks a little bigger.
Yes.
And because we're all online now, we figured we'd give our youngsters, the freshmen coming in, something they can give their parents so they don't lose that little book. So even though everything's online, we're trying to do everything online. So that's why. So the highlighted versions are in blue of some of the changes or just highlights of some of the updates. So again, on page 6, we're talking about some of the federal rules of the lunch, free and reduced lunch, and so on.
16.
I'm sorry,
16.
16. I'm sorry, yes, 16.
Jeez.
And then also, if you look on page, let's see, I believe 29, we have the promotion for graduation, and none of the credits have changed there. If everybody could turn to page 29, you can see there, page 29, just the blue lines. Those credits are all the same for graduation. The only different thing is we categorize the 4 core courses because we are adding courses to history. So instead of naming all the history courses that we have, as well as the science courses, we're keeping that in our program of study. So nothing has changed on those credits, if you notice that. If we move forward, there's also a foster care, which is in the back, and letter M, and then that's all federal, put in by our district lawyers, some of the federal regulations about foster care. So those are really the only changes that we have.
Madam Chair, move to approve.
44.
What?
Yes. 44, thank you very much, Mrs. O'Connor. That's, again, we added one little part to that, which vapes. We all know we had the vape epidemic, and we really tackled it here at Whittier Tech. We also went to another level and added vape detectors in the bathrooms. And that, again, we had talked about that. We talked about what the detectors are doing for our assistant principals, are giving us just data on, frequency if kids are doing it. So knock on wood, I think we've taken a handle on it, even though we are battling some very lucrative companies. So.
Has the usage decreased since?
So yes, we have, again, we've had some of the strict policies. Luckily, we had them in there last year in the last year's handbook on the vapes. We've really had a no tolerance for vaping. Obviously. The buses and our assistant principals and our security have monitored it 24/7, as well as we've had education with our staff members, which is key to the operation because they're inside with the kids 24/7, and they're able to identify what's going on, which, as you know, that the vapes are pretty much undetectable. So, and they come up with new ones. I'm up with Maureen every other month, and I'm saying, can you believe this thing's a vape? It looks like an eraser. Can you believe this thing is a vape and it looks
No
like...
kidding.
Yeah. So they're targeting the teenagers, and
Yeah.
we're attacking it, though. We have a handle.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to approve the
Second.
for 2019, 2020.
We have a second. Gary, yeah. Any discussion on the handbook? No, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Nope, unanimous.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Ms. Cosmas, you're up.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent Lynch, and other members of the committee. I have a few things for you this evening. As we've done in the past couple of years, we continue to prepare financially for the capital needs of the building and the grounds. And so we are once again requesting approval of a transfer in the amount of $350,000 from our excess and deficiency fund to our stabilization fund. At the end of FY18, the Department of Revenue certified $838,397 in excess and deficiency funds for Whittier. After this transfer, we will still have $488,397 in E&D, and that's very comparable to what we had last year at this time. So in order to accomplish this, I'm requesting that the school committee increase the FY19 general fund operating budget to $24,782,140, which is an increase of $350,000. The revenue for the increase will come from the excess and deficiency account and will result in no change to the member municipality assessments.
Move approval.
Discussion? I have a question, Kara.
Sure.
I just was concerned at how low the E&D is dropping. And we seem to have a fairly, we will have a good amount. We'll have over 100,000 in the other one.
E&D?
Yeah, the stabilization account, I'm sorry.
We'll have close to $1.1 million in stabilization after the transfer, and
So-
we'll have close to $500,000 in our E&D account. And we have
Okay.
the $700,000 in the school choice accounts.
All right. At the end of the year, when everything is balanced, will we be adding anything to the E&D
I
account?
suspect we will. I suspect we will. We've had a lot of repairs, and we have, the field and things like that, but I suspect that the plan is to add again to the E&D again.
Is it, is one of the accounts, the stabilization or E&D, either one easier to take money from if we need it? Or,
Access and deficiency, if we want to take money, we have to notify all 11 communities, and they have the right to call a town meeting and yay it or nay it. And so when we do this transfer, Amy sends out notifications to them that this is a vote that you've taken, and they have 45 days to tell us, don't do it. But since it doesn't change their assessment, there's never been an issue. Stabilization, on the other hand, once we put the money in stabilization, just this school committee needs to vote to utilize that money.
okay.
So we do not have to go back to the town. So E&D, yes. Stabilization, no.
But they still have to approve the transfer, even though
Yes.
it's a
Well, they don't
in-house
necessarily
transfer.
approve it by their silence. It's a tacit approval. Am I correct with that, Amy?
Yeah.
Yeah, they would only let us know if there was a problem, and we, knock on wood, like Chris did, we've never had any issues with it in the past. Because I think that they know that our intent is to plan for future building needs of this building. And Ms. Lynch mentions this all the time, how we are constantly trying to add to it, so
Yeah.
that if something does go wrong, or we do get in the pipeline and we need money for a feasibility study, we're not going back to them for another assessment for that. We've already set the money aside.
All right, thank you. That clears up a lot. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Can we vote on this, please? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Hearing none?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The
Thank
second
you.
thing, Mr. Soretti earlier said that there was a management comment that they had suggested that we update our student activity procedure manual. I don't know when it was last updated or approved by the school committee. I do know that the student activity, the initial one, was done somewhere around 2000, and it hadn't been updated by DESE until about a year and a half ago. So what we did at their recommendation was there is a template, a boilerplate from DESE. We basically took that student activity manual, we added things that are specific to Whittier, and we made that our own, and that is what is in your packet, and it reflects all of the recent changes and updates that DESE wanted in the student activity manual. And so I'm requesting that the school committee vote to approve and adopt the revised and updated student activity procedure manual.
approval.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? No? Thank you.
And the last is we have a few bid results. They're also in your packet. We had one for hazardous waste removal. It was a 3-year contract. The successful and responsible lowest bidder was Trade B Environmental Services, LLC, for a total of $66,600 for the life of the contract. The athletic field upgrades, the bid was awarded to Cork Construction Corp., who was the lowest bidder at $1,624,000. And then the last was that we had a request for proposals for our child care center, and we had one sole responder for the early child care space rental, and that was the YMCA of the North Shore. Their response met all of the qualifications as required in the bid document, and so therefore they are the successful responder. Are there any questions?
I do.
Sure.
There seems to be quite a discrepancy between the two, the bidders on each of the ones that you got 2 bids on. Quite a
athletic
difference in
field?
the bids. One was 66,000 and one was 100 and something.
Yeah, we noticed that. And
the other one was the same way. It was
Yeah.
almost double.
Yep, yeah,
So-
the company that, have we done business with them before, Tammy or Trader B?
Trying to find it.
We don't know. We saw that in a lot of bids this year, that we would have one bid and then other bids would be way off different numbers, higher numbers, significantly higher numbers. But when we check out the references and when we check out the specifications, they meet the specifications, so.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking at.
means they don't want it.
I was going to ask if that's what it was, when they bid really high, they really don't want the job.
Perhaps
right?
they don't.
Possibly.
Or there's unknowns. Sometimes they don't come to the site if we have walkthroughs, and we really like them to come to the site because it's very difficult, I think, to bid on something when you don't know what the place looks like that you're bidding on, or ask questions about it. So a lot of times the people that come in high are people who maybe haven't come to the walkthroughs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have a motion and, oh, no, we don't have a motion yet.
That's all, just
Okay, all right, so we don't,
Can
she
I just
doesn't need a
ask one
vote?
question about the North Shore program?
We don't vote on it.
Kara,
Kara,
we have one more
The North Shore program, do they run a lot of childcare programs?
They do. They run a lot of programs in schools. They do run one that is very similar in Salem Public Schools, which is actually in a high school. We were very specific. We wanted somebody who had familiarity with working with students in the program in the school. And they had that familiarity in Salem. They also do a lot of other early child care programs adjunctly with other school districts. So yes, they have a lot of experience doing it. We're very excited to be working with them.
Okay.
Anything else?
The criteria for the students that will be in the daycare, students, children, as well as faculty children?
Yes, the criteria were faculty and children of students first, and then if there was space, members of the general public. But the faculty and students, children have first priority here, yes.
Faculty and staff, I assume. Kara, staff also?
Yes,
I'm
staff,
assuming.
sorry, yes,
Yeah.
staff, and then students who may have children. They're the top, they come first.
Do we have a number of kids?
I believe that we cannot be licensed for more than 30 students, and there's a specific formula, so many infants, so many of a certain age, and so many of a certain age. So we may not even have any infants to start with. We may just start with the preschoolers.
And they're doing the staffing?
They do all of the staffing. Of course, they have to meet all the requirements of anybody who comes within the building, but most of the staffing and the supplies and things like that, they're all on the vendor.
So they pay their staff, we aren't paying.
Correct. They are basically paying us to rent the space. And the space was based on the rental fees that we talked about when we were doing policy meetings. But we also had a very specific criteria list of what they needed to do. They need to show us licensure, they need to do curriculum and things like that.
I've asked for the person in charge of the YMCA to come to the June meeting to kind of fill us in once. So the bid just opened, so that we can kind of work out, so that if you have any questions, you'll be able to answer them.
I have one other question. Obviously, with little ones, there's lots of materials you're going to need. Are we providing the materials, or they're providing the materials? They are.
Any issues on credentialing? Will they take care of that?
They're taking care of everything. They're renting space from us.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay? Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, committee chairperson, me. The May annual agenda items. We are going to appoint the subcommittees, so have you had a chance to look at your sheet that you got on what the different subcommittees are? We got this last time, at the last meeting. And we have instructional, plant operations, salary, policy, and executive. So you may be on one or more of these committees if you want a change or you want to be added to one. Now's the time.
I don't even know what I'm on.
Scott, you are on plant operations, and that's it.
That's where I am too. I like my position.
You like that? So you're good.
Want to just go through and check us all out?
Sure. Instructional, Joanne Testaverde, Dave Irving, Joanna True, and Gary James. Are you all comfortable with instructional? Anybody else want to be added? No. Okay. Plant operations, Paul Tucker, Dick Early, Tony Lesage, and Scott Wood. Paul, you want to remain on that committee?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And did Dick leave?
Maybe I can get those potholes fixed in the driveway.
And staying, okay, thank you. Anybody else want to be on that? Salary, Brett Murphy, Dick Early, Joanna True, Lisa O'Connor, and Gary James.
You want to join us?
Tony, jump right in. So are the five of you comfortable with staying on this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Policy, Dave Irving, Joanne Testaverde, Lisa O'Connor, myself, and Ben Fischera. I will stay on. Joanne and Dave, we just made him chair again. And Lisa, are you good with that? Thank you. Executive.
No, you don't have executive.
Oh.
Executive's made up of the others.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. I didn't know that. All right. So when your committees meet, have any of the chairs changed? No? Okay, so we're good. All right. If you change your mind and want to add a committee, feel free to do so. Tony?
Tony's good. Tony will hold.
All right. Okay, the school calendar, do we need to approve that? We do, right? We did with,
We did.
yes. I can't find mine. Superintendent evaluation. Have any of you had a chance to do that? Look at you. Ooh, okay. I'm impressed. I have mine too. Yeah. Can we?
Did you have a slow night last night?
Or do you want us to pass it in June?
Well, if you're not ready, obviously we can't present it in June. We'll do it in August.
So you want it no later?
I want it by June, by the June meeting. Okay? If you all are able to get it in before that and give us enough time to get it on the agenda, we can certainly do that. So, well,
yeah,
probably would be for Maureen.
Yeah, so what's the deadline then?
Can't leave till it's done.
By the end of May, the first week of June.
I passed mine in. Mr.
Last
Tyler,
week of
I didn't know it
May,
was in
by graduation.
Oh, we can bring
just
it to
remember, if you
Bring it to graduation,
down
absolutely.
exemplary or below that, you have to have
Okay.
a reason.
So was,
And we have met the new student
have to
representative
recommend it.
to the school committee. I don't know, I wanted to talk about the Day on the Hill just for a couple minutes. Do I do that now or under new business or something? New business, okay. All right. So we will have that in by May 30th.
It's a good day.
And then we will tackle it on the June agenda. Okay, thank you. Executive committee, the subcommittee reports, executive, we have not met. Instructional personnel?
We have not met either. We don't need to meet till fall, or?
Yeah, I think we can wait till fall.
Yeah, what, usually we do end of September, early October.
Okay.
Do we have a need for executive at some point? No? Okay. Plant operations, Mr. Tucker.
has not met, but I'm looking to get those potholes filled at the end of the driveway.
Yeah,
agreed. Aside from that, we have no immediate
Did you notice the
Need?
fence?
I did.
fence.
I took it down. Or I didn't take it down.
I've been watching where we're gonna put the new sign up on the road mostly. No, we have not met, and then,
We should probably meet for the June meeting to go over
Okay.
the
6:15 before the June meeting.
What's the timetable on the marquee?
Yes.
on the marquee.
Marquee in front.
On the sign.
They gotta finish the concrete work first.
We're hoping to get it for graduation. Fingers crossed.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Okay. Salary and negotiations. Brett, Mr. Murphy will do this.
I think we're good right now.
set.
Got everything behind us as far as contracts. No need for a meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Policy, Mr. Irving.
You're having your packet April 10th minutes, so I move those for approval.
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
And at this time, I'd like to ask for suspension of the rules for the purpose of fast tracking the facilities use policy. We talked about it briefly last time, but it came before you in your packet for the first reading. I think it would be helpful to the administration and staff to have this tied down. So at our meeting tonight, we suggested or approved the idea of bringing it forward as the first and final reading tonight. So I suspended rules for that purpose.
We have a motion to suspend the rules?
I move the motion.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. All right. Do we need a roll call for that?
Sure. Let's do
I
it.
don't think so.
No,
So just
I don't
move it.
think so.
It's a
just a
two-thirds
hand
vote.
vote.
It is a two-thirds vote, though.
Is it? Okay. All right. So we'll do it this way first. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I think I can figure that out.
That's more than two-thirds.
It's unanimous. Okay.
So
All
I'm
right.
not sure if the superintendent or Kara want to speak to it, but basically, we already had an example this evening with the Dare Child Care Program coming in, and building usage during the summertime, there could be usage. We want this in place before next year. Things do happen during the summertime, so we thought it would be good to get this policy in place immediately, really, so.
So thank you.
That's what the intent.
Okay. You want to vote on the policy? Approval of the policy?
Okay. First and final reading.
First and final reading. Do we have a motion to?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, thank you.
That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
We may need a meeting in June, I believe. There's some new standards coming down from DESI on admission policy, so I believe we need a meeting of the subcommittee, and if they're doing 6:15, why don't we say 6
Yep. In June?
in June?
Is that okay? 6 o'clock. And that is, what date is that, June
Did you
12th?
get any, Maureen, you were saying that there may be some changes? Is that part of it, the admissions?
No, this is a separate issue
Oh, okay.
for admissions.
Our next regular school committee meeting is June 12th at 6:30, but there are a couple of subcommittee meetings, 6 and 6:15.
Get that second Tuesday of the month.
I might be at the Stanley Cup final.
Ah.
A month?
Possibly.
Saying out to Celtics.
All right, under new business, I would just briefly, I went today on the Hill, I was able to go, and I thought it was very well done. And of course, our kids did a great job with their dessert table at the luncheon. I was very proud of them. But it was encouraging to hear that the legislators are, at least they say they're trying to focus on education and the needs. I don't think there's going to be much hope in changing the formula, per se, but they are working on some other aspects of it, and getting more money into the pipeline in transportation and the circuit breaker and that kind of stuff. Yeah. It was very interesting, and I brought, these were little packets that MASC provided for everybody. There are cards in there with talking points for your legislators. So the more people call your legislators, and you know, they're not all pertain to Whittier, so you'd have to go through them and see what you think is important. But they gave me a bunch of them to give out to you guys, so you can look through them and make a phone call or two. And every time they hear from us, it's just a wonderful thing. They like it and they listen. So, and I have 3 cute little buses, magnets, if anybody. The Regional Schools Committee gave these out, and I thought, it says Massachusetts Regional Transportation Aid, keep the promise. If anybody wants a magnet, come and get it. So I'm going to pass these out. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you down here that way, and 5 of you over here.
Did you say our legislators love hearing from us?
Yeah.
You
No,
talked to mine and they love talking to me. You heard that firsthand?
Who was
I am
that?
absolutely shocked.
The other thing that I was very encouraged by, they were talking about all the different proposals for ways to change the things that need to be done. And they said that instead of trying to handpick one, when there are pieces of the other 3 that are appropriate and would work, they're going to try to take the best of all the proposals and come up with one. So keep your fingers crossed and hope that that works out. Send that way. And this is for Maureen. That was just what they gave us, so to put it in the circular file. All right, that was it.
We'll be adjourned.
Okay, so moved.
Oh, pass these down before you.
One more quick thing. Next Thursday night is the honors night. It's a very special evening, if any of you can make it. I've gone for the last, I don't know how many years, and it's just a really, is it next week or the week after? It's the 23rd. So I might be a week off. So it's 2 weeks, yeah, from tomorrow, 2 weeks. But it's a very special evening if you guys can, anybody can make it.
Graduation is the 30th.
Yep.
I know, oh, yeah.
All right, no executive session. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I zoned out so hard there.
We did? We did?
We had.
Okay. But I didn't vote.
And there was no opposed.
All in favor?
And